Okay, so this video is a hard one, to say the least. When it comes to paranormal and spiritual stuff, some people will say potentially that you could be experiencing a spiritual awakening, a kundalini awakening, and other people would say you're having a mental health crisis, psychosis, schizophrenia. The hard thing is, we as humans don't know everything there is. You know? Like, we want to. We desperately want to. That's why we have legit careers in science and technology and information-based careers. And the hard thing with spiritual stuff is, from what I understand, we can't know everything yet. And paranormal, we can't know everything yet. We're like not at that time in human, existence. So first off, I am not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a doctor. I am not a medical health professional. If you are struggling, I do highly recommend reaching out to somebody, and I will have a couple of resources in the description and in the video as well. In 2018, going on to 2019, I had some pretty intense spiritual stuff going on, and so did someone who was close to me. Let's see, when was the date on this? So I'm not sure, I'm reading from a journal, I'm not sure if this is with the same entry, but it says September 1st, 2018. I'm pretty sure this is like later, which makes sense because from my research and talking to other people, 2019, right before the pandemic basically, 2018 to 2019 basically, there was a lot of spiritual stuff going on. And I wrote this in my journal saying, rolls, pins, picks, pins, ends, re-ends. Infinite bliss from struggle, strife, pain. Evil and good, evil and pure will. Wear the armor which you used to shatter illusion, for your soul's marriage to your divine path. You light up in the pure darkness. Blind to evil, blind to grace. Whatever is, was, will be. Just exist, is, and it. Just exist, and is as is. Do not let one or the other rule you. Once you have practiced and mastered this, then there will be peace. To Amias Rose Jones from Raphael. So I had a near-death experience, and around that time I also was moving into an RV, and I was in contact. That was the first time I ever heard like a voice. I think when I was having like the near-death experience, it could have been considered a kundalini awakening, and it said the bill comes due. which is funny because it reminds me of A Knight's Tale, where it's like, you've been found wanting. So basically, there was a couple of different near-death experiences that I've had. I've had 2 that were not chosen and 1 that I had chosen because I was in a really bad headspace. And with one of them, you know, yeah, let's start this over. I don't think I can do this one. Okay, I legit am going to have a hard time with this video. This is a hard one. This is very personal, and it can get very muddy very quickly because when it comes to the spiritual and the paranormal and mental health, everyone has different ideas. I'd like to start off saying I am not a trained psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, doctor. If you are struggling, you definitely should reach out to somebody and ask for help. I know it can be extremely difficult. And we can talk a little bit in this video of like when to know you should reach out. But yeah, and I'll leave some resources in the description as well as in this video of places to reach out to. But yeah, I wasn't going to do this video today. I actually was kind of not sure what video I was supposed to do, and I had asked my angels and my guides, please help me like decide on what to do. And one of the spiritual groups that I had joined a long time ago, someone had posted that they were having a very bad time with schizophrenia, and their question was why. And it was posted in a spiritual group. This person is seeing a psychiatrist, so they did get help, which is really good, because sometimes it can be dangerous. And there was a journal entry that I had done. I've had a couple of near-death experiences. 2 of them, they were not chosen by me, and one of them was, unfortunately, because I was in a really bad place. And with one of the experiences, afterwards, because I was in the hospital having my near-death experience, and then I was wearing a ring that my grandmother had given me for after she had passed, basically. I had inherited it. And so I'm in the hospital, and I saw like a golden figure basically walking across in between me and the doctors and stuff and nurses. And I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. I didn't do what I came here to do. Like, I felt like I had a purpose here, and I was just not doing good physically. And this was one that I did not choose. And it was very scary. And then the hospital basically wouldn't see me afterwards, because I think after talking to other people that potentially I was considered a liability, and they didn't want that, you know, which is sad that is a thing that occurs in Western health. I don't know if that still happens, but this was back in 2017, 2018. And then I had a couple of really close calls at home. to the point to where CPR was used on me. And then later on I was in the bathtub, and some people, when it comes to the spiritual field, would say that I had like a Kundalini awakening, and that was the first time I ever heard a voice in my head that was like very direct and very like not my voice, okay? So, and that I could see like in the Western medicine and mental health that was like a hallucination, which makes sense. If you're like dying and dealing with some really intense things, your brain can do weird things, and we still don't know a lot about the brain. So again, this is really hard for me to talk about, so I'm probably missing things, skipping over things. There are probably things that are going to be confusing, and I can't look at the camera because it's very hard to talk about. But in 2018, it was like towards the end of 2018, I had written this journal entry, and I feel like it really speaks to some stuff. So it says, rolls, pins, pricks, pins, ends, re-ends. Infinite bliss from struggle, strife, pain. Evil and good, evil and pure will. Wear the armor which you use to shatter illusion, for your soul's marriage to your divine path. You light up in the pure darkness, blind to evil, blind to grace. Whatever is, was, will be. Just exist is and is. Just exist and is as is. Do not let one or the other rule you. Once you have practiced and mastered this, then there will be peace. To Amias Rose Jones from Raphael. So Amias Rose Jones is my spiritual name, although I'm wondering if it is either like my higher self or could be considered like an avatar or something. So entity that I embodied around that time. I really don't know. I haven't really fully grasped it yet. But Raphael, when I was super, super sick, was helping me with healing. Archangel Raphael is what I had grasped and understood. And then afterwards I had come into contact with Archangel Michael for protection. But the illusion thing is a really big thing when it comes to spirituality, spiritual warfare, mental health, physical health. It's hard sometimes knowing if you are dealing with spiritual or paranormal stuff, is this a negative thing or is this a positive thing? There is both. And actually in a recent dream, I had a message where they were saying, you know, gosh, I can't remember the specific words, but basically like explaining that there is evil out there in the spiritual realm. A lot of new age stuff can make it sound very like, oh, everything's positive and roses and lights and rainbows all the time, and that can actually be very toxic and very much an illusion itself. So I've had experiences with both negative and positive entities, and from what I'm understanding, I think I'm actually maybe considered a channeler of some sort, because I've been in contact with something. I don't know if it's aliens. I don't know if angels are aliens and vice versa. I don't know. Okay. But I have an inkling that that might be something together perchance. And let's see. So anyways, Archangel Raphael, or Raphael, helped me to start healing my body and I was bedridden at that point, dealing with the near-death experiences, a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, and usually at that point, if you're in a physically bad state, very vulnerable, a lot of negative entities can try and attach to you or, attack you, which is very scary when I started to realize that this was another level or layer to life. I was like, seriously? I'm dealing with so much stuff, and then there's spiritual stuff on top. I was spiritual as a kid and then stopped as I grew up, and I was like, oh, that's stupid. And I was very, skeptical. And then, at this time too, that this stuff was going on, I was like, I have to be crazy. Like, this can't be happening. But I had an experience when I was in bed with one of my cats. She was laying on top of my chest, because she always was like, what do you call it? I called her my little nurse kitty. She was very, emotional support cat. But I wasn't sleeping, and it was really late at night, and in this window, actually, 2 blue orbs came through the window, and I didn't see it. So I'm facing this way, and she was facing the window, and she's like looking up at the window, and then I looked up at the window, and it was actually dancing like right behind me, probably actually right here, and there was 2 blue orbs, and they were dancing with each other. And I remember afterwards being like, I didn't just see what I just saw. I must be asleep. But for the fact that she saw them and she alerted them, like, their presence to me, is what, like, kind of really started settling in that something was going on. But, something with the paranormal stuff, and in 2025 in particular, I am not an astrologer, but there was something about, I think it's like Neptune, and there's some stuff astrologically where basically illusion is going to be a big thing. And with artificial intelligence, we're already having a really hard time with knowing what's real and what's not. We kind of got a precursor to that in 2020, I feel like, as far as information and disinformation and everything. So, yeah. Yeah. I just was going to say, some things that help me because I have PTSD now because of everything that I've experienced and other things that I experienced as a kid. Sensory toys can be very helpful. Even though it is like a kid thing, it seems like, or you're like, oh, I'm not autistic, it still helps. And actually, autism and PTSD can run very similar as far as ways that people can interact with each other and stuff. I don't know how to word that, but very similar. So you can be misdiagnosed, or you could have both, even. So I'm a fan of like the clickers. This is called Wacky Tracks, and this is just a keyboard ball, basically. But let's see, with that post of that person posting that they're having a very hard time with schizophrenia, it was very interesting, and it kind of uplifted my belief of the human, like humans as a collective. Because sometimes we can be very not nice, and other times it's like, yeah, it was a really good group though. And there's a lot of people on varying aspects. Like, are you taking your meds? You should stop taking your meds. Like very polar opposite. And the only advice I really have that I actually learned from my guides was discernment. And discernment literally is thinking rationally, not emotionally, because another experience I had once I was actually starting to get healthy. We had an entity in like a closet area, and it was like a hallway to a closet, and then there's like a bathroom, so it's like a very dark hallway with a lot of rooms and gateways or portals because of doors or whatever, right? And just real quick, this is my boyfriend's family's house, and when my boyfriend was a kid with his siblings, they opened a Ouija board. They did a Ouija board and didn't close it properly, so this house is basically a portal. So we have a lot of spirits that come here and paranormal stuff that happens. On top of his grandfather was a geologist, I think that's the right name, where he collected rocks and stuff and did stuff with rocks. And there is something about crystals, quartz crystals in particular, that I've seen in my research. But when I had, there's that thing in the area, right? The entity in that area. And it felt very uncomfortable and like scary and stuff. But it was very weird because like, so emotionally and physically it felt very uncomfortable, and I felt like nervous, okay? In actuality, it was weird because it like kind of opened the closet and there's nothing around, there was no one home, the windows weren't open, so there was no draft, the heater wasn't going, nothing. And I was like, that's weird. So even though I was freaked out, I went and looked in the closet and found candles. And that night, which is weird because I was looking for candles. I don't know why I was looking for candles. I just got like the intuition feeling to find candles. Like I was like, I just want to light a candle and feel cozy. And so I'm lighting the candles. After I find it, I was like, oh, this is so nice. They're so cute. And then later that night, the power went off. And I was like, oh, we have candles. And my boyfriend's like, what are you talking about? We have candles? Where? You know? And so it was just very interesting, aligning my, like, being around, like, my physical body being around a spiritual entity like that felt very uncomfortable from what I'm understanding, because they're on a different vibration. And somehow I was able to see them. I think part of it is trauma. Trauma can definitely unlock certain spiritual capabilities, in my opinion. Again, still think it's important to seek help. But part of one of the messages that just kept reoccurring was discernment. And so I'm realizing, okay, this felt very uncomfortable, and I thought that it was a negative entity because of how uncomfortable it felt. But then looking back at the facts, which were something led me to that closet, I wanted a candle. I wanted it to feel good and comfort. And then also the power goes out. So it was helping with not being afraid. So it was like, okay, maybe it's something else. And later on I found out, okay, yeah, this is actually just at a different vibration. It's very uncomfortable for me. But then I have also experienced very negative entities. One of them to where, I've had a couple of different ones. One where it legit felt like I was getting my energy sucked out of me, and I actually got a picture of it, and it looks like a mosquito, like a light being mosquito, and I just felt horrible, and it was when I was bedridden and stuff. That was not good. And I've had other ones where I don't know how to explain it, so I'm not going to right now. But it's just, if you're thinking negative things that is going to hurt you or other people, or is making you think negatively, that can be a negative entity that is like attaching to you. And one thing that I will do, and what I had found, was imagining a light shield, and you call in Archangel Michael and say, Archangel Michael, please strengthen my light shield and cut any cords that are coming to me or from me that is not for my highest good. And please take your golden net of light, and catch anything that is negative on my shield and transmute it with love and kindness, kind of thing. Or, you know, you can picture like a white light around you and tell the negative entity, like, you're not allowed in my space. I acknowledge that you exist, but you're not allowed to be here. And I send you off with like love and kindness and understanding. And you can ask help from Archangel Michael to transmute the negative energy. Usually when it's a negative energy and you send any type of love towards it, it usually runs away. Like, it does not want to be with that. But I was in the RV and something was messing with me, and I got real angry about it. And negative energy likes to feed off of negative energy, and it wants to make you angry. It wants to make you afraid. It's almost like a djinn. Like, you're feeding it energy, and so it's like becoming more and more alive. So that's just something to think about. You could also do crystals. I had a black snowflake obsidian necklace that I wore, and I was getting hit a lot by negative energies, and so it would fall off of the necklace and break to the point to where I couldn't use it anymore. So if that happens, that means that it was doing its job. It was protecting you. There's also selenite, which helps with negativity and protection. Same with, I believe it's smoky quartz and a whole bunch of different stuff. So there's lots of different layers to that. So, and then also with, like, being in a really bad place, negative, like, depression-wise or psychosis, you can be in psychosis because of schizophrenia, because of PTSD, because of bipolar, because of depression. Not a lot of people know that. Let me see what psychosis was again. Let's see. So psychosis, a condition, and this is from Gemini AI. Condition of the mind where the significant loss of contact with reality, which has key characteristics of hallucinations, which is perceiving things that are not actually there. So like other people aren't able to see it. This one is hard because when it comes to hallucinations, like, I think it could be spiritual as well. But again, the discernment thing is very important. And going back to that journal entry that I had mentioned, not being focused on what was it? Blind to evil, blind to grace. Whatever it was will be, just exist, and is as is. Do not let one or the other rule you. So even with the angel numbers that I get and stuff, they had taught me that I am powerful. I am strong. Each human being is powerful and strong, and stronger than we realize. So like, they would give me messages and I felt like I would have to attach to like what they were saying, and like really would be like, well, where are you? Like, help me, I'm in so much trouble. But they would kindly remind me, like, these are just skills that we're trying to teach you, and you need to learn how to use and utilize these skills to improve your life, for instance. So if you're relying too heavily on the good or the evil of an entity, that's not good. That's also part of the discernment. You need to be using your own power, your own strength. And thankfully, I had guides that were helping me to be standing on my own 2 feet. And the reason why I said that is because we don't understand the brain fully. Mental health and spiritual stuff is very hard to differentiate. But so again, if it's ever something that's going to hurt you or someone else around you or a pet, that's when you really need to seek help spiritually or mental health facilities, therapist, crisis lines, etc. Friends, family, relationships. So then also with psychosis, there are delusions. So I think that one was talking about paranoia basically. Like examples include believing that others are plotting against them, that they have special powers, or that their thoughts are being broadcast. So the plotting against them paranoia stuff, like I've experienced that too. And sometimes it's like, is it founded? Is it not founded? If you're not in major distress and someone has already proven to you before you were in psychosis that they might not have your best interests in mind, you should follow that. But if you just met someone and you're thinking this person's going to kill me and they're not doing anything that actually would make you feel like they're going to do that, they don't have a weapon on them, they're not talking to you aggressively and you're feeling that way. For instance, this is just what I experienced. I was in a facility and I'd just met this girl and I thought that she was going to kill me in my sleep because she was part of a gang. She had mentioned she was part of a gang when we were hanging out during the day and stuff, and she would switch on a dime and get really angry because she herself was dealing with paranoia to extreme extent, and she had a lot of trauma, and understandably so. And so I couldn't sleep. So that's affecting my sleep. That's a sign. That's not good, So then I would reach out to my doctor and was mentioning that. And then they found, I found just recognizing that was helpful. And part of psychosis, if you're in true psychosis, you're not going to be able to even think that stuff through. You're not going to even be able to think, you won't even know what you're doing sometimes. So, having a support system around you is very important, so that they can see, oh, you're not acting like how you normally do, kind of thing. Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of going around in circles. Again, this is a very hard video to do. But I don't know, maybe anyone who's watching this, and if you're dealing with paranormal stuff or mental health stuff, maybe you can write what you believe or experienced, give some love and kindness to your fellow viewers. I'm pretty sure we would all appreciate it. Let's see. Just want to see in this. Yeah. So, I mean, something to look into. Like this one person was talking about it, saying, are you sure it's schizophrenia or is it an awakening? They mirror each other a lot. She had experienced a Kundalini awakening, also known as an ego death. It can also be considered third eye awakening or dark night of the soul. So those are some things to look into, you know, see if they resonate with you. If something doesn't resonate with you, just leave it. Don't worry about it. If it does resonate, then, you know, then it's meant for you. Yeah, so take it or leave it, basically. Yeah. And for me personally, I have the chronic health issues and I had a lot of trauma. So I had a hard time with getting back on medications because it actually made the stuff that I was on made things worse as far as my chronic health issues. So I was super against the medications at first. If you are sensitive, you can be sensitive physically to things. So something I'd suggest is, I mean, you never know until you try it. So try it, but don't try it at a super high dose. It's just like anything else. Like you could do holistic stuff, for instance. If you're a female and you have periods, something to try is cramp bark tea. That is amazing. Not a lot of people know about that. And but it's just like anything else. You start slow. And it's same with any medications, in my opinion. Again, I am not a professional. I'm just saying, for me personally, knowing that I am a sensitive person, spiritually, physically, emotionally, starting out slow was key for me, and not just blindly following the suggestions, because a lot of the suggestions were not right for me. One of the times I landed in a mental health hospital was because I was, as the nurse said, on a very horrible concoction of medications that could lead to very serious side effects, including a heart attack. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. Trauma. Let's see, is there anything else in this? Some people were talking about having negative entities exorcised. I definitely could see that being a potential when I was dealing with all this. Like I said, if you're in a vulnerable state, negative entities, they can latch onto you or try to attack you, make things a lot worse. I definitely felt like with my depression, at a point, it was very much like I was in a very low vibration. And it was just not... I don't remember how I got to that point of believing that or recognizing that. But it definitely was that. And it was suggested by my guides to think positively, to think of gratitude, and I couldn't think of anything I was grateful for. So something that would help with that is even something small. Just say something that you're grateful for, even if you don't feel like you're grateful for it, okay? Like, I am grateful I'm breathing right now. I'm grateful I can see the sun. I'm grateful all these things. And the more you do it, the more you'll start feeling it. Okay, so the camera died. Sorry, the lighting's probably all different now too. If you are experiencing spiritual stuff or something paranormal, something out of the ordinary, a couple of things I've recognized with myself and other people. Sometimes because Western society with UFOs, for instance, oh, if you saw a UFO, you're crazy. It's starting to turn out now what happened is they were overwhelmed with all of the UFO reports and they weren't able to handle it. And so part of squashing that workload was making the American society to feel stupid. And then also there's the stigma against being crazy and stuff. I've noticed that sometimes something crazy will happen and it's like, that didn't just happen, you know, and then you'll kind of push it to the back of your mind and be like, oh, okay, let's just forget about that. Forget that even happened. But I also wonder if, oh my gosh, hang on, Beans wants in. Okay, Beans wanted in. Hello, star of the channel. Hello. So I think I do wonder if there's something that spiritualize you can forget stuff. Anyways, no matter what, best advice I could give you, journal. Journal everything that happens so that you can decipher and discern is as positive as is negative, and communicate with other people about it. You can write stuff in the comments. You can follow me on Instagram, and since you watched pretty much this whole video, I'd suggest subscribing and following. And yeah, good luck. So much love and kindness. I know it's very difficult, and it gets easier. It definitely gets easier. Can be scary, but yeah, good luck.